This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell.
Believe that.
Presented by PWFempire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is alive with the new 52. This is the 52nd episode of the show. Our first show was, I believe, the Royal Rumble 2015 post-show review, and we've been going strong ever since. I told you guys way back when that this show was going to be a living, breathing experiment, just us trying out different things every week, seeing what worked, what you guys liked. And I can say right now that I feel as if we've hit our stride. Like we're going strong, and I feel confident each and every show that we do, and I'm glad to see that the reception from you guys is a reception of confidence as well in our abilities as hosts of PWF Empire Live. And speaking of hosts, gotta go to my boy Evan, who has been with the show since day one. What has this experience been like for you on PWF Empire Live?
To say the least, it's been a fun one for me. You know, I've always been, being a part of the internet wrestling community and being a part of this show has been the highlight of that for me, because it allows me to express opinions, thoughts, interact with fans, interact with you guys. It's just a great casual type of show, and we don't go over the top crazy, but yet we have something that I think nobody else does. So we have a special brand here, and it's great to be a part of something like this, to see the audience grow week to week, and always have various opinions and on different topics in pro wrestling. And honestly, I gotta thank you though, yourself, Jay, because I have my own channel that I was doing, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So the props go to you, man.
It's nothing. But I'd like to actually thank you, because I'm quite sure with me messaging you to be on PWF Empire Live, like, you didn't even know who the hell I was. So I'm glad that you actually took out the time to check out the channel, and then not to just check it out, but say, yeah, you know what? I like to be on that show. And I have to say, you've been an amazing addition to PWF Empire Live.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that more than I can tell you, man. I mean, I had no idea who you were, even though, and again, that's obviously no disrespect considering the fact that you've been around for a while here. And I was like, man, I've of all the people, I've actually never heard of this guy, but I was very intrigued immediately, and it was an opportunity that I had never actually had. You always get like a message from one of those spam things where it's like, oh, join this partnership, or join this, or join that, and it's like, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea, but this one stuck out, and damn glad I took advantage of being a part of this.
Awesome. And I don't know why I chose to do this on episode 52, because that's just such a weird number. I was thinking about 50. I guess it's because I forgot on 50, then I forgot again on 51, and it's like, okay, we'll just go with the next one, 52. Bam, there you go. But we're joined on the hosting panel tonight by a new face that you guys have yet to see. You may have heard his voice on a Raw post show on PWFempire.com, but now you get the ability to see him for the first time. What's up, Mr. Moderator of the Raw post show, Lucas? Thank you for joining us tonight.
That's right. I am the moderator of the PWFempire.com Raw post show, but I can also be known as the loudmouth. And it's going to get loud here tonight because I limit myself sometimes due to the fact that I have co-hosts on that post show from last night. But
yeah, you got a job to do.
That's
you
right.
have to be a little official in the moderator position, but you can let loose here.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the pipe bomb tonight. And like Evan just said, I want to thank Jay for the opportunity, because if he didn't contact me, I wouldn't be here today either. So let's get this show on the air.
Yes, let's go ahead and get on to this show. Okay, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We have Ronda Rousey, she's been making waves for a very long time, but she's making waves where WWE is concerned because she set her sights on a title in WWE, and we're going to be setting our sights on the sights that she set, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We also have the rise of the Roman Empire, and that's where we are going to get started right here, right now, because Roman Reigns is the new #1 contender to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He competed in this impromptu tournament that featured all of the winners. Well, not all of the winners. It excluded Brock Lesnar, but, you know, we'll just leave that one alone. Like WWE
Brock was like,
no,
nah, I don't care.
Like, they didn't even explain it or anything, like why Brock wasn't there. It could have been an easy enough explanation, but, you know, whatever. They didn't include Brock, so we're not going to include him. And point being, Roman Reigns walked away as the victor, and he will face Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the not SummerSlam, Survivor Series. This SS is confusing me. And I told you guys a few weeks ago, like, I'm crazy when it comes down to pay-per-view names, but Survivor Series, he will face Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, here's the thing. Roman Reigns, he's had his issues, he's had his ups and his downs, but I have to say, on Monday, that was one of the best friggin' nights of this dude's solo career, if not the best night, just in the way in which he was presented, the way he carried himself, the way that the crowd responded to him. San Diego was in love with that guy, and I think that he did enough and said enough to warrant the reception that he got. He competed in some really good matches with Kofi Kingston in that great main event on Raw, but here we are with Roman Reigns as #1 contender.
Yeah, honestly, this is great, man. This was a great use of Roman Reigns throughout the night, and he performed great in both matches that he was in. He did his best. He performed well, and he really, to me, this was proof of how well he can carry himself. And he did that at Hell in a Cell too in the match against Bray Wyatt. So all of this put together in 2-night span, you have a guy in Roman Reigns who really just worked his ass off in the ring. And yeah, he's not the most, you know, savvy when it comes to throwing out 500 different moves, but again, that's not the kind of character Roman Reigns is. Not every character on the WWE roster has to have a huge moveset to still be a great wrestler, and that's been proven time and time again. You know, a lot of people love Stone Cold after he broke his neck. Very limited in-ring set, and that was when most of the best moments of his career happened. Hulk Hogan, I know, the Forbidden Man, I'm mentioning him. I should be banned from the show for saying... Yeah, I know. Terry Bollea. Sorry. That's the government name. Anyway... so we've got him, who also had a very limited moveset. He was a big star. And yeah, sure, people have mixed opinions, but, I mean, when you hear the roof blow off the place, you know that the guy has something special. And I'm not saying Roman Reigns is to that level, but I am saying that what he has in him is a lot of greatness and a lot of potential and a lot of capability. And I think this here on Raw proved that. And his booking has been so much better. Albeit, yes, that promo a few weeks ago that I did my damnedest to defend was not a bright moment in the last few months. Roman Reigns has undeniably been a much brighter star for WWE here and shined very well here on Raw.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference for Roman Reigns from before to now, you know, before the booking felt kind of rushed. There was not much effort involved as far as, like, you know, giving him a sensible storyline. But ever since he started this feud with Bray Wyatt, it has made sense. Week after week, you know, they've been building him up. He won at Hell in a Cell, and they proved that wins finally do mean something in the WWE. And I think because of that, because of him winning, and because of that Hell in a Cell, him beating Bray Wyatt, not just beating him, but the way he beat him, because that match was fucking awesome, and they both, you know, just they just took each other to limits. So I think everything that was executed in that night at Hell in a Cell just basically transferred over to next night on Raw, and, you know, logic just made sense. They went with the logical booking. Roman Reigns was the hottest superstar coming out of Hell in a Cell, and they saw the right opportunity to give him this title shot, which, by the way, is long overdue for me, because If you remember, after WrestleMania, he was supposed to feud with Seth Rollins, but instead Orton was the man that got that title shot at the next pay-per-view and not Roman Reigns, which to me kind of felt fucked up because Seth Rollins, and ironically enough, he was the one that cashed in and ruined that moment for Reigns at WrestleMania. But hey, now a few months later, we get to see Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins, and we get to find out if Reigns will finally get his retribution on him.
I want to go to that moment that closed out Monday Night Raw with Roman Reigns, and this isn't even a promo. This isn't even the actual match. Roman Reigns didn't say any words at all, but that ending moment where he went and he confronted Seth Rollins and they stood face to face with each other, and he kind of like tapped him a little hard, like tapped the belt, pushed Seth a little bit, and then he turned around, and in that very moment, I thought of this phrase that I heard from, I believe it was Matt Stryker on an episode of Lucha Underground. He said, "My father told me you never turn your back on a man that you're afraid of." And that was basically Roman Reigns telling Seth Rollins, "I'm not afraid of you. You're no match for me." And just the coolness, the badassery that he exuded in that moment, it was so awesome because he started to walk away and you could kind of tell he was looking back like this, like, "Yeah, bitch, I dare you. Touch me." And then when he walked away a little bit, and then he turned back and looked at Seth Rollins and kind of nodded his head like this, like, "Yeah, I thought so," and walked off. Oh my God, that was so awesome. And that just goes to show that it's all about, and I keep using this phrase over and over again just to show the significance of it, the importance of it in the world of wrestling, creating an atmosphere around someone. And that was Roman Reigns with his nonverbals, not saying anything, not executing any moves, and he looked like a fucking star, a superstar in that one moment. Things could not have gone better for him on Monday.
I love the backstage segments with him talking because it's like calm and it fits him. Like he does, the segment between him and Ambrose, to me, it was like, yeah, this is exactly what Roman Reigns should be doing, not cutting some 10-minute promo that it just doesn't do him any justice at all. Like we've always talked about on this show, short and sweet is what's going to do it for the microphone for Roman Reigns. Again, the same as it's true with the lack of moves, it's also true with the lack of words for certain characters. You don't have to go on these 15-minute long promos to be a main event level guy. Not everybody who ever has did so. And yeah, a lot of guys are great talkers who have been main event guys, but not everybody is, and has to be in order to get to that level. And Roman Reigns is certainly proof of that because he certainly gets good reactions. Raw was proof of that, and he performs really well under the big match situations, and that's going to be huge for him going forward. Now, obviously, you're hoping he doesn't end up going down the John Cena path, but we can't worry about that right now. That's just too far ahead to worry about. You got to worry about here and now, and honestly, Roman Reigns is being booked, packaged, and thrown out there in a really good manner, and that's what there is to take away from this. So, Roman Reigns going for the belt here at Survivor Series, it feels like the right time, and I'm actually really excited for that match between him and Rollins.
And the thing about it is, going back to the badassery stuff, they were actually doing that when he was with the Shield, right before the Shield split. But the problem was when they decided to make them go separately, Roman Reigns just kind of became this generic superstar. And I don't know why WWE did that to him. They should have continued that little style he had going right before the Shield broke up, where he was just, this quiet, I'm going to fucking kill you kind of badass that doesn't care about anything that comes his way. Like you could just see the menacing look in his eyes and in his face that he wanted to do harm. But at the same time, it's like they took that away from him when the Shield broke up, and that's kind of what made fans turn on Roman Reigns a bit, I think, because they turned him into something that they wanted him to be, as opposed to who I think and what majority of people think he really is. So now, if we see more of that side of Roman Reigns, like we did on Raw in those ending moments, he's going to be a legit fucking badass. And I think that's how I should go forward with him and not do these 15-minute long promos with him because, as Evan said, that's not his style. And even if he does cut 15-minute promos, I don't think he's the worst mic worker there is. I think he's pretty decent. I just think the fans, like a few weeks ago, if you remember Chicago, they just shat all over him. And I know some people thought...
Deservedly so.
No, see, that's what...
Deservedly so.
Okay, well, all right, you could say there's 50-50 on that, but majority of the fans just never give this guy a chance on the microphone, and I don't know why they say that, but I just don't see it. I mean, that night, yeah, you could argue it was boring, but for the most part, Roman Reigns to me is a pretty good, decent mic worker, and I have no problem with him on the mic.
Going back to that thing that you were talking about with Roman Reigns and who they were pushing him as when he was a singles competitor, like when he initially became a singles competitor, I use a patented term, bastardized babyface syndrome. That's WWE's creative team having more faith in themselves than they do in the talent. And we've seen time and time again, you don't want to do that. No, not at all. Let him go out there and let him be Roman Reigns. And if we get that guy that we saw on Sunday and Monday going forward for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, we're in for some good shit. But we're going to transition from this point kind of on the same subject, but expanding it a little bit for this buy or sell question. This is going to be on the tournament itself, because we opened up Monday Night Raw with the Authority coming out to the ring saying that Seth Rollins has cleared the table. He's beaten everybody in his path. I'm not even going to get there. I don't want to get there. Not even going to go into it, because we could call out some fuckery there, but I digress. So the Authority, they say that he's cleared the table when they need to determine a new number one contender. And the way in which they do this is by taking the winners from Hell in a Cell and putting them into a tournament. The winners of each of the 4 matches go on to a fatal 4-way that main evented Monday Night Raw that Roman Reigns won. The other competitors in the match were Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens, and the Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens, and the United States Champion Alberto Del Rio. Do you guys buy or sell the way in which the number one contender was determined on Raw?
I completely bought. There's really not a whole lot else to say. I mean, that was a great tournament, and it was great to have matches. You have to win a match to get to the number one contenders to become a number one contender, and then you have to win the fatal 4-way on top of that. So, I mean, to actually have steps to progressively need to win, it makes the championship feel like it's important, and it's the first time in a while that I can really say that, and I'm very happy to be able to say that, because you want the world title to mean something, right? I mean, it's the world title. So it was good. It was a great way to use this Raw. It was a great way to follow up Hell in a Cell. You didn't need to have a bunch of rematches that you just had the night before. From my memory, we didn't get too many of that here on this episode of Raw. That was good. And you got to see guys like Del Rio be featured in this as well, which is never a bad thing since he's just returned. And both guys that are healthy in the New Day were featured, and Kofi and Big E. They both were fun. Dolph Ziggler, a fan favorite, gets featured here as well. So you get a bunch of guys, and Kevin Owens, of course, too. Cesaro with a great performance. I know we're going to talk a little more about that. So honestly, it's a great way to feature some good guys and to make it feel like the championship means something, and that's really great here. And obviously, as we talked about, Roman Reigns just performing very, very well. And then having that match, that main event match, that was great quality. It was an excellent way to...
on the line.
Exactly, and Seth Rollins holding his own on commentary, and I was like, man, that doesn't sound like the Seth Rollins I've been watching the last few weeks.
It sounds like the Seth Rollins I've watched.
No, but it certainly sounds like the Seth Rollins I want to watch, so it was a little exciting. But that's probably not going the way you want it to. But either way, buying the hell out of this. Great stuff.
You talked about this making the championship feel important. You know what else it made feel important? Monday Night Raw. Because you actually had matches that had stakes to them. They had something on the line. And just to pick up off of what you said, Evan, talking about how winners advance and winners get a shot. Like, you have to win, 3 matches in a row to become the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? That was friggin' awesome. And I wish that we get to a point in time where that's not an anomaly and it's more of the norm in WWE, with them having, like, it sounds very weird to say this, but like storyline wise, having it be having it feel a little more organic, because when you see stories where it's like, oh, we just so happen to be feuding with each other, and you know, I'm gonna push this feud so I can get a championship match out of you two, and we've seen stuff like that with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. We've seen it with Sting and Seth Rollins. We've seen it with Kane and Seth Rollins, and it just gets to the point where it's too much, and you want to see more of what happened on Monday Night Raw happen. So I really liked it, and I'm going to read this quote that I saw on ProWrestling.net. It says, with the 8 wrestlers attempting to qualify having to fight to get into the main event, WWE reversed the problem they too often display. The characters were in control of their own destinies. This wasn't odd authority interference. This wasn't Seth Rollins having to suck up to anyone. This was simply fighters fighting for something tangible to them. I like watching characters fight for what they want. And that is the perfect summary of this tournament. So, major buys.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy this too. And to add to both of your guys' points, I'm also looking at it from a creative perspective, because in every match we had in that tournament on Monday Night Raw, did you notice the superstars that were involved? Normally you'll have guys like Randy Orton or, you know, the typical main event guys that are always in the main event scene, hogging that spotlight, hogging matches like that. And no, we saw new faces, new names involved in these important matches that have relevance in them, like Kofi Kingston, like Big E. Even Neville was involved. Cesaro, Kevin Owens. I mean, these are new names that we have not seen that could possibly make it in the main event scene sometime in the future. I think, if anything, it speaks volumes for the guys that were involved in those matches, because WWE put them in that position for a reason. I believe they probably are the future, and WWE wouldn't put them in that position if they didn't have faith in them. So, and on top of that, in the main event, think about this. You had 4 guys that have never really faced each other, with a returning Alberto Del Rio, Roman Reigns, who I believe those 2 guys never have collided in the ring. You also had Kevin Owens in the first time with Del Rio and Roman Reigns, and you had Dolph Ziggler. None of those 4 guys, they barely had matches against each other. So that main event, it was something new, something refreshing. So I'm not just looking at it from the perspective that wins do mean something and it was important, but it was also creative, something we've never seen before, and I just like that aspect of it too. Overall, I bought it, and yeah, this is something that WWE should do more often. It's not something that they should back away from, because it just made Raw feel, you know, it made Raw feel good, as Jay said. So that's all I got to say about it, pretty much.
And speaking of all of the competitors involved in that match, whenever Roman Reigns gets to the championship, I'm going to need to see a feud between him and Kevin Owens. I am going to need to see that fucking match, because that face-off that they had at the end, man, and that sequence that they went on where Kevin Owens went for the pop-up powerbomb and Roman Reigns hit him with the Superman punch, awesome stuff.
And that's one of the, when Owens faced Cesaro, that was one of the moments of Raw where I was hoping Kevin Owens would win, because I was excited for that little confrontation between Roman Reigns and Owens. I knew that at some point during that match, if those 2 were involved, we were going to see them go at it, and that was fun to see. It definitely lived up to the hype, and you know, a Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns match in the future should happen. But another thing about this was the storyline was set up. Have you noticed how in the previous storylines for Seth Rollins with the world title, it's just been random opponents coming up out of nowhere, like Sting, and then Kane shows up. This time, no, they set the seed for a great feud, in which I think, like I said earlier, was overdue. I mean, this should have happened months ago between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. We never got to see that one-on-one match between them. We only saw that fatal 4-way. I believe it was at Payback. Yeah, at Payback, and we never really got to see a continuation between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. We saw a lot of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, but not Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So I'm excited for this. And now we could arguably say that this match could be the real main event for Survivor Series. I know we're probably going to talk about that a little bit later on with the Wyatts, but now this match, with the importance it has, I feel like it could main event Survivor Series now.
From this point, we're going to move on to a recent debut that we saw on the main roster. This guy actually debuted on the last episode of SmackDown, and we saw him for the first time on Monday Night Raw this past episode. We're talking about Tyler Breeze. He has been featured as a #1 contender down in NXT, mixing it up in the main event scene down there, but he's on the main roster now, and it looks as if his sights are set on Dolph Ziggler, and sooner or later they're going to be moving into a program with each other, which will more likely than not lead to a match between those two. But let's focus on Tyler Breeze himself for a second. He's a big hit down in NXT. I know I'm a fan of his. I think, Evan, you've said before that you're a fan of his. We raved over him at the last NXT special. But, yeah, Tyler Breeze. Do you buy or sell him reaching a point of success on the main roster, whatever your definition of success is?
Well, I mean, he's there, so that's one thing. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a little, it's a little early to say because there's so many mixed ways in which guys from NXT end up how they end up doing on the main roster because of how their character is booked. The way that they're packaged on the actual roster is usually quite different. A great example being the Ascension, a good tag team in NXT that everyone liked, and then now being so terrible in the main roster. So I think that Tyler Breeze is going to be used well, at least for the time being. I hope so, anyway, because I think he's got a lot of possibilities here, a lot of potential, and an idea of a feud between him and Ziggler seems like a match made in heaven. They just seem like a feud that is meant to happen, you know what I'm saying? So I think that this could be really good for him. I am buying what I see so far. I do wish he had maybe gotten involved a little bit in Ziggler's match on Raw, considering he was at ringside, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to jump the gun on this too fast either way. I'm going to buy what I've seen to this point, but that's all I can do, really, you know?
I'm going to do a little bit of what Evan just did, and I'm going to decide whether I'm buying or selling what I'm seeing as of right now, and I'm going to sell what I'm seeing as of right now with Tyler Breeze.
Okay.
Because when it comes to Tyler Breeze, NXT and WWE are two completely different things. And when I see Tyler Breeze in WWE, when I saw him on Raw, the first impression, you know what he reminded me of? Fandango, when he first came up. And we all know how Fandango turned out a few years later. So right now, yeah, a Ziggler versus Tyler Breeze feud could work, and it is a match in heaven. But I just, you know, the whole appearance, the whole look thing, I don't think it's gonna go well for him in the WWE.
See, I want to ask you a question. Like, what makes you say that? Because I think, like, the Tyler Breeze that we see on the main roster, of course, it's technically the same Tyler Breeze we see down in NXT. So is it just that it's hard for you to accept him outside of the element of NXT? And it's like, I know what characters like this, I know what happens to characters like this on the main roster. Like, is that the thing where you're like, I can't accept this?
Not only that, but I just think to the casual viewer, you know, the mainstream viewer, I just don't think it's a good presentation for a character like this to be shown on television. I don't think that they would get behind somebody like this. I don't think they would care for someone like this. And the fact that he went out there on Raw and was just sitting with Summer Rae at ringside, I mean, what's that going to do for him? If anything, it made him look like an afterthought. He wasn't overshadowing Ziggler, I'll tell you that much. Ziggler just kind of did not care to see them at ringside, and they had the match regardless. And yeah, to me right now, Tyler Breeze just feels like an afterthought. It would have helped him if he probably interfered or had said something, but he was just, you know, doing too much, in my opinion, to try and win himself over with the crowd. That's the impression I have of Tyler Breeze right now.
I'm hoping that it works for him, but to pick up off of what you were talking about, it's like the main roster is it's interesting to say the least, because the conventional wisdom, or at least what you think is like conventional wisdom, somebody is talented, they have the ability to get over, they're going to get over, and they're going to reach a point of success. Like, it doesn't really work that way. You have so much confidence and so many questions with him down in NXT, but it's like when you get to the main roster, it's uncertainty. Is Tyler Breeze talented? Hell yeah. Should he reach a point of success on the main roster? Yeah. Is he going to? I don't know, because
not with that character.
A completely different creative team, a completely different audience, and it's just so many questions that I have about it. But if the question is, do I buy or sell Tyler Breeze reaching a point of success, I'm going to have to unfortunately say sell, because I just don't think the creative team will get him. And even if they do get him, it's just going to be like a flash in the pan type thing, and they're going to be like, oh, this guy is hot now, and they're going to forget about him in a few months. Much like Fandango. That's why I made that reference. Yep.
Well, and you have to wonder, because I mean, he's got like the in-ring skills of like a Dolph, or you could compare him to a lot of people, because he has a lot of like qualities. You know, he's really solid wrestler, no question about that. Mm-hmm. But I unfortunately do see what you guys are saying. Again, like I said, I'm only buying what I've seen so far. If I was to make a prediction, I'd say, yeah, probably it's not going to go in the best direction, considering most of those NXT guys don't. You could even argue and make a really good case for Kevin Owens not really being anywhere near as good as he started off. Now, he was like an exception to the rule at first by pinning Cena clean and all that other good stuff, but that's it. After that, then he loses to Cena, and then now he's IC champion, and you basically have to remind yourself he's IC champion, even though he is still putting on good matches. So, like, most of those guys who come up, just their booking's just blah. It's an overarching theme that the booking in WWE for creating stars is almost non-existent right now.
And we definitely will get there a little later on a subject that I'm sure Evan is excited to talk about. He can't wait, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit more. What were you gonna say, Lucas?
Oh no, I was just gonna say the way I would have done it with Tyler Breeze, because it was rumored for like the last week or so, or the last 2 weeks, that he was eventually going to be called up to the main roster. I personally would have had him be the guy to take the title off Cena at Hell in a Cell, and not Alberto Del Rio. I felt like that would have been a better execution for him, and probably would have him be talked about more today, as opposed to him feuding with Dolph Ziggler. And that's no offense to Dolph Ziggler, but I just think that if they really wanted a huge breakout moment for Tyler Breeze, and if they really do see something in this guy, why didn't they put him in a match with relevance behind it, a championship match against John Cena for the United States Championship? That's just what I think.
Okay, we're going to talk about Bray Wyatt next and the Wyatt family as a whole, because their patriarch, he came out to the ring on Monday Night Raw to explain his actions from the previous night and what we all saw as the closing image of Hell in a Cell. The Wyatt family carried off Undertaker to unknown parts, and Bray Wyatt gets onto Monday Night Raw and cuts a promo, and he basically says that he's going to use the Undertaker as his resurrection. And he had a lot more to say in that promo. He said he had not forgotten about Roman Reigns, and he was actually going after the Undertaker for his resurrection to maybe revisit the feud with Roman Reigns at a later date. But judging Bray Wyatt by everything that he said, his explanation for the events that occurred the night before, do you buy or sell his explanation for attacking the Undertaker?
I loved his explanation for attacking the Undertaker. I mean, the promo and the submission of Kane afterwards was a pretty... But the problem is, the reason why I'm going to end up selling this is because of the fact that you have a point in time right now and right here where it just seems like it's going to go down the same old path that it usually goes down with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, which is they basically do all the work in building up a feud. They make it interesting, fun, and exciting, and then they end up losing the damn match. And I really, I will be surprised if they win at Survivor Series. I will be pleasantly surprised, but I will be surprised, assuming that this is going to be a traditional Survivor Series match, or the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatts, whatever it's going to turn out to be. I don't think they're going to win here. It's going to be like a Brothers of Destruction get back together, they win a match, and then they end up, whatever from there. But if the Wyatts win this, I would be like all for it. But I'm sorry for having like almost a negative feeling already about this, but that's why I have to sell it, because it's like, as much as I want to see Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family beat the Brothers of Destruction and prove themselves as like this faction that can be a bastion of hope for the younger guys on the roster overall, and also be something that is a great huge victory for them at a big four. But I mean, really, I feel like we're asking ourselves too much if we actually think that that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. It could happen, but I'll be surprised, wouldn't you? I mean, Taker just lost to Brock at Hell in a Cell. I'm going to be surprised if we're going to get the Brothers of Destruction actually losing to the Wyatts. I mean, this is the same Wyatt who lost to Undertaker at WrestleMania this past year, who lost to John Cena, who's had, there's been multiple moments in his career where he has started to look like, or with the family, has started to look like it's going to be like the next big thing, or a great stable, a great piece to the WWE puzzle. But every time that it gets to that point, they lose a match, lose all the momentum, it goes straight down to hell. And, I mean, they need to win this match is basically all I'm saying. But I'm going to only sell it because I just don't have any type of belief that they're going to win going into it. And that's based upon the last couple of years.
See, I'll readily admit that I'm a sucker for, I was going to say the Wyatt family, but Bray Wyatt, because he's so amazing with his pros and the way that he speaks with his promos and things like that. I friggin' love it. And one thing that I've always wanted from Bray Wyatt is continuity, for him to acknowledge the fact that he loses and see how he responds in situations like that. And he basically killed two birds with one stone with that promo on Monday Night Raw, because not only did he acknowledge what happened with Roman Reigns, he also kind of acknowledged what happened with The Undertaker without specifically stating, yeah, you beat my ass and I'm coming to get you back. We had Brandon in the chat. He said this exact same line that I was thinking in my head. He was Undertaker's resurrection. Now Bray Wyatt is going to use The Undertaker as his resurrection. And I think that that's a great story. And I'll admit, I am a mark. If I look past this week, I do have some reservations about what's going on. But I can't do anything but buy Bray Wyatt's explanation, especially seeing as he did something that I've been asking of him for a very long time.
I'm going to go ahead and buy it because the explanation was amazing. It was logical, made sense. I don't know what the creative team had before the show, but for some reason this week they were actually pretty good.
Things were clicking.
Yeah, things were pretty good on Monday Night Raw.
Except one case, but we'll get there.
They had some Cocoa Pebbles or something.
They had to have something, but yeah, going back.
In one case, they had it was a rock instead of a Cocoa Pebble. It was like a legit rock. That's when they were booking the Divas. Like, shit. But we'll get there.
But yeah, going back to this, I love it. I had to buy it, and I feel like I have to disagree a little bit with Evan saying that the Wyatts. They lose every feud, so you kind of know like where this is going. I think they're at their biggest peak right now. I think that they're more dominant than ever after what they did. I know that Bray Wyatt lost at Hell in a Cell to Roman Reigns, but at the same time, that promo he cut on Raw kind of makes him recover from everything that's happened, because he acknowledged the fact that he lost the feud. He acknowledged why he's coming back for The Undertaker, and that is for Resurrection. So now, basically, if he wins at Survivor Series, if his team wins at Survivor Series, he's basically got momentum going for himself again. And I just like that aspect of it. And I like the aspect of unpredictability playing into this, because we don't know who's going to win. It's not that obvious. As you mentioned, Undertaker has lost to Brock Lesnar twice, and he didn't really beat him at SummerSlam either. That was just, some stupid finish. But now, heading into Survivor Series, you just don't know what could happen. There's just so many possibilities that could happen. Bray Wyatt has always been one of the most amazing, decorated superstars in the current roster. Speaks very good on the microphone. Yeah. What?
Decorated with what? That guy hasn't won a damn championship yet.
Just his gimmick. I feel like his gimmick is legendary, and it's going to be talked about for many years to come, despite him not having titles. You can make that argument for many guys, even like a Mick Foley. I know Mick Foley has won titles, but he was never a guy that was, always consistently in the main event. So when I think of guys like that, I think about Bray Wyatt, just a guy that could make his career just by talking on the microphone. Yeah, so I'm going to buy it. I just love everything about Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw. The fact that Eric Rowan is involved too, I just think the Wyatts look better on TV right now.
Wait, how does Eric Rowan factor into this?
Just him and the Wyatt stable as a whole. I felt like something was missing when it was just Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper. Now that you have Eric Rowan there, you have 3 fucking big guys next
you're
to
a part of this cult too, man.
Oh, yes. Everybody should be. Eric Rowan makes that family shine, man. That white mask of his.
He's the glue that keeps it together, huh?
Yes, he is.
It can't
He's
be
the Xavier Woods of the Wyatt.
Oh, hell yes. It can't be the Wyatt family without Eric Rowan.
Okay, if you say so. Steven would probably say he's the Xavier Woods of the Wyatt family too, but I think he has a different meaning than you guys do.
Oh, God.
But Steven, I'm still waiting. First show your ass is back, it's going down. But speaking of it going down, Evan, Diva Madness. Yes, the heel turn has finally happened. The heel turn has finally happened after a whole fucking month of shit. I honestly thought Paige was already heel. Like, I saw people talking about, like, oh, the heel turn is coming tonight. I'm like, didn't she already turn heel? It's apparently it's just a few people in the world that didn't know she already was a fucking heel, and 2 of those people are Charlotte and Becky Lynch. So Paige is backstage with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and they're talking, and Paige says she wants to be out in the ring with those guys, being their or those gals being their partner for their match later in the night. And we actually have Charlotte asking Becky if it's okay, and they deem it to be okay. They get into the ring, face Team Bella. They lost the match, right? Of course they lost the match. And we had Paige attack Becky and Charlotte after the damn match. One person outsmarted them and outpowered them. One beat both of their asses, stumped a mud hole in them, walked it dry, and there you go. Paige. Now, do you buy or sell this fuckery? And by me calling it fuckery, you already know what I think about it, but yeah. Buy or sell?
Yeah, you really don't even need to ask me, because it is so obvious what I'm going to say about this crap that we have been getting with the Divas. Crap. I mean, honestly, the only people who didn't see the heel turn coming were Paige and, I don't even know who the hell anybody is anymore. Charlotte and Becky. They're the only ones who didn't know it was coming. They're so dumb in their characters that they literally are like, yeah, we're gonna trust the same girl who like 3 weeks ago just told us that we're both, that Becky's irrelevant and that Charlotte's only here because of her dad. That's fine. Let's trust the same girl who turned her back on us at multiple different opportunities. And then for 1 minute we acted smart because we walked away from her during a match, but now we're gonna team up with her again after she embraced me last night after my championship win. I just decided that I like her again, and it's like, this is the kind of stupid shit that goes up and down all over the place and makes no freaking sense. It just has me so perplexed and confused, and I hate it so much, because it should be something that I can enjoy and can like. And I like all 3 of these girls. That's the thing. Like, I like Paige, I like Charlotte, I like Becky Lynch. They're all talented in their own individual way. And especially when you've watched their NXT stuff, and now you're watching this.
Yes.
That's why it enrages me even fucking more, because when I have seen how good these girls really are, and they were very intelligent on NXT, and then they get up to the main roster, and WWE was like, okay, so here's the most important character trait about you. You're going to lose about 80 IQ points, and you're going to act like you don't even understand what just happened the week before, and all of a sudden you have, very spotty memory. All of a sudden you're like, I like you again, Paige. No, next week I won't like you though. And Paige, it was never really any kind of anticipation. I mean, it is what it is. I get that they're trying to say, oh, Paige was playing a mind game. The thing is, how are you supposed to believe in a mind game that anybody could see coming from a mile? Like, literally, it is so obvious that she's gonna do this to you guys, and yet you act like it's not. And they act like they're surprised by it. After she cut this pipe bomb promo, it just makes that promo that she cut a few weeks back so damn pointless, which is sad because it was an awesome promo. But it has been rendered completely irrelevant and pointless because of everything that has followed since. So this is crap. Sold. Get me the hell away from this stuff.
And that's so funny because, like, I didn't even think about that angle of it, but the promo is pointless now because, hell, you could have started a feud from her simply talking shit about you, but I guarantee you nobody is going to mention the Paige promo at all now. It's not going to be about, oh, I don't like you because you went out there and talked trash about me. It's going to be, oh, I don't like you because you attacked me. So, like, I don't understand the need for both of those things to exist because, shit, we were all sitting here like, okay, that was the heel turn a month ago. And I hate storylines where the people in the storylines have to be dumb for it to make sense. And this is one of those storylines. So I'm selling the entire hell out of this. Everything must go.
I'm selling this shit too. And I think part of the reason why they waited so long for this attack to happen with Paige, WWE kind of shot themselves in the foot with this because a few weeks ago when you had Paige do that pipe bomb promo, they were in the middle of a Divas Championship storyline with Charlotte Flair and Nikki Bella. So the fact that you bring Paige into all of this, I think that's where WWE kind of messed up. I felt like if they wanted to do this, then why not save the pipe bomb for maybe this past Monday on Raw instead of doing it like a few weeks ago and then waiting for the next few weeks to pass by and we don't know what the fuck is going to happen with Paige. And then you get Natty involved in this. Like, they just did too many things at once. I don't know what the fuck the WWE was drinking. Vince McMahon probably approved of this idea because it sounds like something his out-of-touch ass would approve of, and Triple H was probably somewhere in the back shaking his head. So, I'm sorry, but I'm selling this shit. It just didn't make any sense to me at all.
And Triple H is back there like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Oh, what'd you say, Vince? Yeah. Sounds wonderful. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
But he's like, let me get back to Full Sail so, I can do what the hell I want to do. we got
I can see Triple H just kind of... I can see Triple H just kind of sitting there trying to rationalize what, like, Vince's thoughts. He sends him an idea. Vince says the stupid idea, and then he's like, you know what? All right. And in reality, he's like, God, this is fucking stupid. But he's like, all right, this works out okay. All right, we can do this. Fuck
yeah, Vince, that's a great idea. I think NXT is better than Monday Night Raw. And, did I just say that?
He doesn't even do that anymore. Stop. Okay, so I want to go to a comment from CDLR4V1 in the chat. He's saying, watch the replay in slow motion. Charlotte and Becky were setting Paige up for a sneak attack. Paige saw it coming and defended herself.
That's too much to read into. I'm sorry. That's a headache right there. They did ignore Paige throughout the whole match. She was begging for a tag, and they never tagged her. That's all I can read into.
We got to go in and break it down by frames to see what's going on.
I mean, they were smart in terms of, not giving Paige the tag out, but like even the fact that they expected her to not at some point turn around and attack them. I mean, let's be honest. It's like,
why make her your damn partner anyway if you don't even want her in the freaking match?
Like if I was Charlotte, I would have jumped her in catering and thrown her face into some food and got. I mean, where are these backstage brawls or like any of this shit? Like this shit should be breaking down, and it's not. It isn't doing anything like that, you know.
So how interesting is it that we transition from that topic to now the topic of Ronda Rousey saying that she wants something that Charlotte has. And I'm going to actually go to the comments from her. What I would love to do. I got an Olympic medal. I would want to retire from MMA as one of the greatest of all time. I would love to have the chance to be the boxing world champion. And I would love to have the chance to be a jiu-jitsu world champion. I'd love to have the chance to be the Divas World Champion and just to be the best of everything at one point. So we got that word there, the Divas World Champion. Of course, with Ronda Rousey wanting to be the Divas Champion, that would mean that she would have to be in WWE. So my question here is, do you buy or sell Ronda Rousey in the WWE Divas division?
Sure. I can buy that. Ronda Rousey's awesome, man. I love Ronda Rousey, and I would love to see her. She's not, but see, there's where the Divas bullshit is just like, you can't call it the Divas division if Ronda fucking
that's
Rousey.
why I sit there and side-eye that, like...
like...
Rousey diva?
like, for... Like, for her in one sentence to say that she wants to do all these things and then be like, oh, but also I want to be Divas champion. Like, that just doesn't...
You see, she had to add in the world to make it seem a little bit more prestigious, because people are going to be like, Divas, what the fuck is a Divas champion? Are you, like...
Like, see, it doesn't even sound legit when you say it. Like, oh yeah, I want to be Divas champion. No, don't you want to be fucking WWE Women's Champion? That sounds like a title,
Women's
right?
World Champion. That's what I'm talking about.
That sounds great. But if you have Divas Champion, like WWE NXT Women's Championship sounds a whole hell of a lot better. If I was Ronda, I would say I want to be the NXT I want to be the NXT champion, not the actual Divas champion, because that belt is fucking purple butterfly shit. You know, like no one wants to have that, and especially not a legit badass like Ronda Rousey wearing that championship. She could rip that thing in half. Come on, man. But I do buy the absolute hell out of her being in WWE and wrestling a match. I'd watch any match she would have, to be completely honest, and I wouldn't mind if it was against Stephanie. I don't care who it's against. Ronda Rousey wrestling him. I don't care if it's against a guy. Ronda Rousey can wrestle anybody, and I'll be first in line to watch that one.
See, I love Ronda Rousey, and for me loving Ronda Rousey, that's why I have to say I sell the entire hell out of her being in the Divas division. And it has absolutely nothing. Well, I was about to say it has nothing to do with her. It has a whole hell of a lot to do with her, because I'm going to use a phrase that she used to describe herself. She said she was femininely badass as fuck. And to be quite honest, I believe that she's too friggin' good for the Divas division in WWE. I would like to see her in there. And Evan, you said you don't care who the match is against. I have the perfect opponent for Ronda Rousey. I want Ronda Rousey to face the creative team member that's booking the bullshit for the Divas. That's who I want to see Ronda Rousey face in the ring, because if you get that person into the ring, the one that's responsible for this bullshit that we just saw with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Paige, you let that person get that ass whooped, and then from that point on, I guarantee you they will take women in the ring seriously. And that's going to be the revolution. When the person responsible for the stupid shit that we see from the Divas gets his ass kicked by Ronda Rousey, that is your revolution for women's wrestling in WWE. So that's the match that I want to see. But I just want to pick up off a little bit and kind of veer to the side on this just a tad bit, because WWE does have an opportunity here, and I'm hoping that they understand the magnitude of this opportunity, because you have Ronda Rousey. Everybody is quoting. She's the person. She's the number one MMA fighter in the entire world right now, and they have publications all across the nation quoting her, saying how she wants to be the Divas champion. What WWE needs to do from this point right now, get Charlotte onto Monday Night Raw and have her cut a promo going the fuck off. I saw her on Twitter and she was talking about, oh, anytime, any place, and I'll be glad to put my championship on the line. Fuck that. Get offended by the fact that you have someone who isn't even in your industry saying that she wants to take your championship. And she said it as if she didn't even mention your fucking name. She didn't say, I want to compete against Charlotte and win the Divas Championship. She's like, I want it. And just by simple virtue of her saying that she wants it, shit, she can walk in and they could hand her the Divas Championship. And I think somebody like Charlotte needs to be pissed off by that. So get Charlotte in the ring and let her speak some real shit. Let her go off and say, damn it, this is my championship. I worked too hard for this title. I'll be damned if you just waltz in here and think that you're going to have this championship handed to you without any protest at all. Like, I don't need that whole, oh, I welcome any challenge, because nobody's going to print that shit. Nobody's going to give a fuck about that. Like, you need to go out there and you need to be hard on it.
Well, when the challenges that you have are freaking stupid, I mean, it's like no one cares about those challenges that you want. If anything, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what Charlotte should be doing, and that's the kind of character that Charlotte, to me, was before. She was that kind of like, you know, I'll get up in your face, I'll get pissed off if you say something like that. But of course, they're not going to do that, because now that she's on the main roster, she's completely lost her mind and doesn't know where she even is anymore. She lost a match off a missile dropkick, and now I guess she hit her head as a result, and she just can't seem to understand that that Paige is not her friend anymore. But it's too bad, because why make somebody who is so good as Charlotte is, as a lot of these women are, make them look dumb? Like, is it Vince's goal to make them look like they're not smart? Because that just like makes me cringe at the thought of it, because it's like Ronda Rousey doesn't have to mention Charlotte, because why would she? Why would she even know? Even if she was a fairly, and I think she is a fan of the current product still. I know she got her Rowdy name off of Piper. What I'm saying is, like, I don't know how many times she watches WWE a month, but even if she watches it fairly casually, I'm sure she doesn't sit there and think, oh yeah, Charlotte's the Divas champion. She's thinking, no, I could fucking destroy that division and take it. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah, and either way, if she sees Charlotte, she sees a competitor that's just like, what the fuck? Like, I can go in there and I can take her championship, and I'm taking her motherfucking arm. Like, I'm taking it all and going home with it. Like, either she sees her and thinks that, or she doesn't even know her, and she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter who's the champion. I can go in there and rip that shit. And either way, they need to do something with that. Like, I would love for Charlotte to go on a run. Like, use what Ronda Rousey said as fuel to push Charlotte to the fucking moon. Just get her into the ring and have her running through people. Like, that's, you want to talk about a revolution? Like, it has to be started somewhere, somehow, and every single chance that WWE gets to do something, they fall into greatness on accident, and they don't do a damn thing with it. And all of this stuff that I'm saying right now, like, people in the chat, they're going off saying you're asking for way too much. I understand that, but I wish that WWE would do it, and it crushes my soul, my spirit, to know that after all of this shit that I said, they are not going to do one lick of it, nothing at all. And then when they don't do anything about it, and I get on here and I say this Divas Revolution is bullshit, then people are going to tell me I'm wrong. Then people are going to tell me I'm unfair. Then people are going to tell me it's because I'm not patient. You know what? Fuck the Divas Revolution. Fuck all of it. Lucas, you got anything?
It's going to be hard to follow that, but I agree with you, Jay. I'm selling this shit just for the single purpose that I don't think the WWE would know how to execute with Ronda Rousey in the WWE. And like you said, she would be too good for the Divas division. There's no way you can control her. There's no way you can limit her. And if you do limit her, that's how you know it's going to be a flat-out fucking fail. And on top of that, you've had these divas in the past that are, you know, these like masculine type of divas, and they just always, for some reason, seem to fail. Look at, with the exception of like Beth Phoenix, I think she was the only one that succeeded with that. But Awesome Kong or Karma, whatever the hell her name was in WWE, even even China, you could say, possibly. But again, I just don't think Ronda Rousey would necessarily succeed in the WWE. Not that it would be her fault. I just think creative wouldn't know how to book her. And on top of that, it's like, what matches is she going to have? Who would her opponents be? Because in order for her to have great matches, you would have to have a legitimate opponent that looks just as badass and just as tough as her. And we don't have a Beth Phoenix in the WWE anymore. We have all these, no offense to them, but we have all these skinny, slimmer, diva-like divas, because that's exactly what they are, divas, and not some fucking knockouts or UFC or MMA women or anything like that. So it's like, who would Ronda Rousey face? I don't think it would make sense. It would be cool. It would be cool to see her in the WWE. I'm not gonna bash that for one night or something like that. But long term, I don't think that could work. I mean, she could be the female version of Brock Lesnar, but again, it would just be squash match after squash match, and eventually that would get old. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, I think Brock Lesnar is the male version of Ronda Rousey. But Ronda Rousey versus Asuka, that could work, right?
I mean, I actually think that if we look at it from the overall of it, obviously Sasha's not gonna win that fight, that match, whatever. But I don't know, Sasha's just got that like badassery to her that it would be a cool match. It really would be. But either way, the reason why I buy this is not for the reasons that you guys are selling it. The reason why I buy this is because it does the proverbial putting asses in seats, and I think it might do so better than any other Divas match is going to do in any time or in any way going forward. If this is the Divas shit that we're going to continue to get, Ronda Rousey squashing anybody for any amount of time is going to be infinitely more exciting for me to watch. So that's why I got to buy this. And to see Ronda Rousey...
I'm buying it now since you said that, because I'm so fed up with this bullshit going on. I want to see Ronda Rousey collecting checks and collecting arms. That's what I want to see.
That's the Brock Lesnar. Yep, there we go.
And Jay, to add to your point about wanting too much or being impatient, I'm going to defend you. How long have we fucking been waiting for the Divas to finally step up and succeed and revolutionize? Like, oh, we're going to wait another year for that? We're going to wait another month for that?
I'm going to quote Rose from Titanic. It's been 84 years.
Exactly.
That's how long it feels like.
So I don't want to hear, oh, give it time, give it another week, give it another month. How many fucking times have we given WWE a chance and they just fail and fail and fail with the Divas? I'm tired of it. So it's about time they do something big, and I'm not going to wait anymore. I'm not.
And I just want to point that out to you guys. I don't think there's any other wrestling show out there where you get quotes from the Titanic. That's why we're so special. So... yes. We're going to move on to the final segment of the night. This is Swerve. We're going to take a story from the wrestling world over the past week. We're going to reflect positively upon that story, turn face, or reflect negatively upon that story and turn heel. I want to go to you first, Evan, because there's been something that's been on your mind about a certain Swiss Superman, and I want you to go ahead and I want to give you the platform, the opportunity to go ahead and say what you feel needs to be said.
Well, see, this week's performance from Cesaro was... I don't know how to really put it into words because it was so good. It brings a smile to my face just to think about the performance of Cesaro on this week's Raw. To me, it sticks out even amongst some of the great performances that he has had over the last number of months in particular. He's had some good performances since he's been in WWE and since way before that when he was going by Claudio. I mean, this is a great wrestler for many, many years. But regardless, the last few months he's been on a great streak of really enjoyable matches, great quality of everything that he does, showing amazing amounts of greatness in terms of what he can do in the ring, which is unlike anybody else. The fact that he exhibits a strength that is something that the crowd loves, buys into. The swing just gets everybody on their feet. This week, even grabbing one of the Cesaro section signs to show some interaction with the fans and just performing to a level and in a manner, in a way that lights you up and gets you excited. has you marking out for moves during the match, and it's just a Raw match, to qualify for the number 1 contender match later in the night. It's not even this big deal, like, oh my god, he's fighting for the belt type of story here. And you knew he probably wasn't going to win, but despite any of that, his performances are way too good for what we are getting with him. Why is this guy losing so many damn matches? And why, more importantly than that, is he being booked in a way that he is allowed to show off how good he is, but isn't reaping any type of actual benefit for it other than a good crowd reaction and us as fans loving everything he has to do, and yet getting nothing for it?
Wait a minute, can I jump in really quickly here? Because we do have Damien in the chat right now saying, don't know why we're talking about this, Evan. I mean, clearly he can't get over with the crowd. Vince said so it must be true. So, like, are you sure you heard good reactions?
You're fired!
Oh, he doesn't get a good reaction from the crowd? Oh,
Vince said it.
Oh yeah, there's this huge section of people with signs literally saying Cesaro section. Yeah, no. Clearly he's not doing very well. And Vince said it on a podcast, so we must listen to the almighty God.
But yeah, you hit the nail on the friggin' head there. Like, he's being given the opportunity to show how good he is, but reaps no benefits from it. And it's so, like, I was talking to you guys about this off air, and the word that I use is maddening. I don't understand, like, what does this guy have to do? Because I'm telling you, Cesaro is at a point right now where he may be my favorite in-ring competitor in WWE. And just so you guys know some of the names that he's included with, when Daniel Bryan was in WWE, he was my favorite in-ring competitor. Seth Rollins, he was my favorite in-ring competitor at a point during the early part of this year. And that's where I'm talking about specifically, like, the moves that they hit in the ring and the way in which they perform. Like, Cesaro is so fucking dynamic and explosive. And the ring, that I don't even know what the hell to call it, but that uppercut that he does, where I think it's like a springboard off the ropes, and he like spins while he's doing it. That is so fucking beautiful.
He's just
I'm a mark for a lot. I'm a mark for like the way in which people do moves and add their own little spin to it. And because I think Alicia Fox, just to go off on a little tangent here, her Northern Light suplex is fucking awesome. Adam Rose has a great spine buster, and Cesaro, that friggin' uppercut that he does when he does a spin, it looks like something you would see out of a Tekken video game or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And the athleticism is to a level that there isn't another person on the roster who's at that level. I mean, the conditioning that he has, even when he goes into the corner and keeps hitting, an uppercut, drags him over to the other corner, uppercut, like, he keeps going back and forth across the ring. Like, people don't understand how much cardio, you have to go through to be able to do that and not be, like, dead on the floor. I mean, that is unbelievable stuff that he exhibits. He is unbelievable, and that's the perfect guy to push. That's a perfect guy to give something to. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean, yep, you have to win the world title to be relevant. No, he could still be relevant by doing things even in the mid-card. I mean, again, we've talked about this before, where years back, guys who are in the mid-card were more relevant than guys who are the main event of the show are today. That's the scariest part about this, is that, like, you basically have to go to the main event or else you don't succeed anymore, because there just isn't much of a mid-card to even really talk about anymore, at least not one that's all that relevant for the most part. So, like, Cesaro could be many things and many great things, but here we are. I mean, again, you know where it's going to go. You know he's not going to win the match. I knew before the match even started he wasn't going to win. But he went out there and performed so damn well. And to me, that one sticks out amongst all the great performances that he has had. And, it's like, whether or not we need to talk about it, we should talk about it. He is the guy who deserves this more than anybody else right now. So, yeah, I don't care. We can dedicate time every single week to talk about Cesaro as far as I'm concerned.
Rightfully deserved.
Okay, you know what? For my swerve, I am going to turn face on Dean Ambrose for not turning heel on Roman Reigns. But more specifically, I'm turning face on Dean Ambrose for showing me the power of friendship. Because everyone saw that backstage segment with him and Roman Reigns where he was talking about Roman Reigns' failures and things like that, and people thought it was foreshadowing for a heel turn, but it wasn't a heel turn. Like, it made sense to me at the end of the night. What Dean Ambrose did, he was just being a really good friend, because sometimes you have to remind your friends of their failures so that it sets them up for success when everything is said and done. And the phrase that I use for that is, sometimes a setback is a setup for a comeback. And Roman Reigns' setback was a setup for a comeback, because he was deemed the #1 contender when everything was said and done. And it had a lot to do with Dean Ambrose being a really good friend and reminding him that he can reach a point of success. And, you know, I would like to think that I'm a really good friend as well. You know, Charlie, we were playing WWE 2K16 last night, and I mopped the floor with his ass 5 matches in a row. And I had to remind him of that fact. And then, you know, a little later on in the night, we started to play Madden, and he beat me by 1 point. So, you know, his setback was a setup for a comeback. You know, I beat his ass 5 matches in a row, handily defeated him, and he won by 1 point in Madden. Now, I think of few things happened in between there, but I can't really remember right now. But that's besides the point. Like, Charlie, he reached a point of success for my great friendship, and I'd like to thank Dean Ambrose for setting an example of what a real friend is. So I thank you, Dean Ambrose. And that's it for this episode of PWF Empire Live.
We're gonna talk about this next week.
Yeah, see, I had all of my GIFs ready. I was thinking maybe it's a heel turn too. I had all my GIFs ready, like my.
It's a heel turn, damn it!
No, stop that!
It's gotta be.
Stop!
It's gotta be.
No.
Jay, next week we're talking about this. That's our cliffhanger for this week.
He sounds like the Joker for a reason, and the Joker's a bad guy. All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
like, come on.
Doesn't the Joker have people that he trusts, like Harley Quinn? You know. I'm not saying that Roman Reigns is Dean Ambrose's Harley Quinn, but like,
well, that would be a weird situation, no?
No,
I'm just saying that there's room in his. If he does have a small heart, there is room in there for some people, you know.
This is the same man who. This is the same man who in a commercial was like burning a cigarette into Arnold Schwarzenegger as a badass. That's Dean Ambrose right there. That's the guy I want.
The thing is, he recognized him from Terminator, and he knew that he could do that without hurting him.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so he was being a friend, is what you're saying?
Yes, he was
Why do you have to run the show like this, damn it?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
But we'll be talking about these crazy conspiracy theories that these guys have next week on the show, I guess, since Evan said so. We have to do it now. But you know, I'm glad that we can end this show on an amazing note. The power of friendship.
If Vince can say whatever he wants about Cesaro, then that means that I can say what I want about us talking about Dean Ambrose next week. Damn it, that's how it works around here.
Okay, we shall see how that goes. I get that's a little plug for our next episode, which will be Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time next week. Hopefully you guys tune into that one, and thank you for tuning in to this one. On behalf of my hosting panel here, Lucas, you can check him out every Monday, right after Monday Night Raw for the PWFEmpire.com Raw post-show review. I like how you had that all set up, like your plug. It was eloquently executed at the beginning of the show. You are learning, man. You're learning.
Hell yes.
So make sure you check him out with the two guys that you saw on PWF Empire Anarchy, Dalton and DJ Cass. And Evan and I will be back next week. And Steven, he's getting ready for a return. It'll either be next week or the week following that Steven will be back. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to this show. Catch you later. Peace.